Welcome to another Quantum Conversation. I'm Loren Gailey, and I invite you to sit back as we enter the quantum realm, that space of the greater part of you. It is your connection to infinite possibilities, infinite potential, and infinite mastery. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are in another episode in this Quantum Conversation Summit Series, Timelines, Creating the Highest Benevolent Outcomes. And my guest today is a beautiful being who is a quantum alchemist intuitive. Her story of how she walked into this is inspirational for all of us. And we are in for a treat today as we talk about body regeneration. Meet your soul at the particle level. And this is important for timelines because we are taking ownership of walking in this timeline of us knowing ourselves as our soul, knowing the body as a soul. Erica Von Eaton is here, and we are so pleased to welcome and open this space with Erica. Thank you, Erica, for being here. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I love this space because I can feel there's so many benevolent beings with us always when we co-create like this. The energy is so expansive, which allows us to open these conversations to these different portals where different levels of consciousness are, because the purity that you bring to these conversations is so clean and clear and crisp in your intentions. So it's an honor for me to be here. Thank you.
Wow, well, thank you. That is so lovely. And we thank everyone who's watching and listening because you too are part of this vessel, this sacred space that we are creating. And Erica, I just want to say, every time we're in this space with you, we can feel that upliftment. We can feel a frequency rise. And that is so beautiful, and so when we're talking about I'm getting chills right now because I'm sensing that, wow, and I feel like crying. So that's something big there too, that our souls right now are really aware of this. And I just had a remembrance or a recollection recently of how we can feel the soul in our body. We can really feel that soul. It's almost like a rush. It's energetics. And so as we're talking body regeneration, how does that fit this theme of timelines?
In so many different ways.
Uh-huh.
We're wanting to walk out a timeline where we know who we are and why we're here. That wisdom is held within the tissues of our bodies because our body is the soul in particle form. So what I mean by that is our highest self created the body. First, it created the spirit that starts to descend down, and the spirit creates the body. It's all part of your highest self in different dimensional planes. So the earth and your highest self together as one creates this physical form that we call the body, and all your codes of wisdom from your highest self is embodied within this physical form. But we have spent a lot of lifetimes and timelines trying to escape the body and wanting to connect back in with our highest self, with our angels and our guides. And all of that is brilliant, but it's about an embodiment of the levels of consciousness that are already within us that is going to allow us to walk out the highest and greatest timeline for us co-creating with the earth. And what I mean by that is there's untapped rays of light within every molecule of your being. It's already there. The thing that has not given us access to that is every distortion that has taken us away from knowing ourselves as source energy. So it's an embodiment of the wisdom. So when I channel now, because of the work that I've been doing with knowing my body as my soul, it's different. It's an embodiment of, I have a puppy here. She's helping us.
We do not hear that puppy, but we
Okay.
love that puppy energy.
She reminds us that this is play. And that's another big theme that has been coming into my work over the last year is we're meant to play in this lifetime and play with this body. But
Yeah.
every time we have judged or compared or felt pain more than pleasure, we have believed in the distortion more than we have believed in the truth of who we are. And it's created these senses of separation and shut down these codes of light that are wanting to be expressed as wisdom in our cellular structure. So in order to walk the kind of timelines that we're talking about, we have to take ownership that I am the creator of this. This body was designed for me. This body was designed by me. This body was designed with me. And it's not something that I want to escape. It's something that I want to explore and unplug from the false realities and programs that I have fed into throughout my lifetime and other lifetimes. It's something that I want to shine so brightly and love every wrinkle, every pore, every ounce of who I am, because there is a story of wisdom that I have yet to uncover within it. And so when we think about Jesus being resurrected and coming back into his body, it's because his body is part of his soul. Your body doesn't die. Your body has this beautiful consciousness and wisdom within it. And it's reconnecting that and knowing that that is who you are. It's your soul embodiment in particle form. We know that we're multidimensional. We talk about it all the time, but we've never really transferred our body is multidimensional as well.
Yes. Okay. We're going to talk about each of that. I want to first I want to dig deeper into this body is soul in particle form. So then this brings us to a quantum conversation where waves and particles. Can you explain more about what you mean by the soul? The body is the soul in particle form, because it's actually what condenses or collapses the wave into the particle. Share more on this.
Okay. So if we think about our highest self being created from the divine, as from source energy, we were created, right? Our highest self. That is the highest vibrational energy, right? All these different vibrations live in different dimensional fields. So as we begin to descend, I use the word descension lightly because people make it, oftentimes descending is associated with low vibe, not good energy. Does that make sense?
It does. And we've heard from people like JJ Hertak, who says ascension and descension, that we're ascending and descending, because he explained it as the soul is descending. And there's nothing bad about that.
There isn't anything bad about it. What is occurring is that we are, as our bodies are lifting the densities through all the healings that we have been doing, we have been healing and healing and healing, which gives more space between the particles. So trauma is a really dense particle state, and it creates these packets of dis-ease within the body because pain, anger, fear, all that kind of stuff, it wraps really tightly because it's felt so acutely. So then we think about it and we can't not feel it because it hurts so bad and it takes so much energy. So it condenses and it makes us dense. So through energy healing, we are releasing the densities and we're becoming more light than matter, gifting us more access and space for our highest selves to embody. So we needed a particle form to be able to experience Earth. That's why the body was created. We needed a vessel to be able to walk out this experience on Earth. So we allowed ourselves to collapse energy in to create this physical structure that we call the body. These trees, this grass, that I'm looking out at the window, this puppy, collapsed its energy in to be able to walk out this experience here on Earth. And it doesn't mean it's low vibe, it's just collapsed particles, energy waves. I'm so sorry. Do you, okay.
No, it's cute. It was perfect. He marked the statement perfectly.
Okay. So she's from Venus and she's a little spicy.
Oh, we love her. What's her name?
Millie.
Okay, Millie from.
Yeah, Millie. So our highest self is just frequencies. It's basically the highest self. If we were to be able to like really see it, it's just vibrational waves of different colors. And then the spirit that descends from the highest self that we call Laura or I call Erica, that is a smaller collection of those overall rays of light. And then the body is all those colors condensed and put into particle form.
Okay, beautiful.
Okay.
And so distortions are really, you had mentioned this earlier, the thoughts, and we can get in thoughts and looping
Mhm.
because now we can start to see where the thoughts then, wow, can anchor or hook into emotions.
Yes.
And then that becomes part of the body then. Explain what's happening here.
Yes. So every time we have, or we have fed into, or we've been told who we are, what we can do, or what we can be, or what we can experience, that's a packet of information of memory in the field. So it's like a cloud. I used to explain it like balloons. So like memories are balloons in the field, programs, beliefs, structures, they're like in a balloon in the field. That's a collection of the frequencies of the emotions felt from the words spoken, the words themselves, the belief systems. Those are all packets of information gathered together in the form of like a computer chip, computer program, like a cloud. So that density, then, if we take that on to be true for us, that information is coming in and it's hitting our heart. Our heart is sending signals to the brain via the cardiac nerve plexus that are the same frequencies of these belief structures or these thought formations. And it begins to release chemicals, neurohormones in the brain. Those neurohormones then trigger hormones to be released in peptides to the rest of the body that are vibrational match to this external program that we thought was true, or this trauma, or the memory of the trauma. And so the packet of information is really dense, and the energy particles within those kind of traumas, angers, fears, resentments, guilt, shame, they collide against each other. They're not working harmoniously, they're working disharmonically. And so it's dense energy that doesn't just want to flow through you, it gets stuck in your tissues. These chemicals and these peptides actually get stuck in the tissues and start feeding your cells this information over and over and over again when we don't fully process it. So that begins to shift and change the blueprint that surrounds every cell, every organ, every tissue, your entire body, and tells it how to regenerate. So every time, all the information on how you regenerate is held in the blueprint that surrounds everything, every part of you. The blueprints become distorted over time with the chemicals being released. And so then it's just telling the cell to regenerate in a disease state, in an aging state. So if we want to regenerate in a way that is beneficial for longevity, for health, for elasticity, so that we can continue to move fluidly as we age and keep our strength as we age to support our bone structure, or if we want to channel deeper, if we want to be able to use our intuitive skills deeper, all of our blueprints need to shift and change and go back to their original divine state. Because there's a large quality of energy that's wanting to come through you. But if we don't have the foundational structure to hold that and to run that, then our nervous system gets overwhelmed and we go into fight or flight, and we wonder why we can't hold this state of being expanded, or we can't hold this flux of energy that's wanting to come in that feels so good. We can grasp it, but we can't embody it. We can't release the wisdom that's in our cells. They are locked down because they're so covered over by these toxins and chemicals that are just stored in there that are creating distortions in our blueprint. So it just keeps recreating over and over and over again.
Yes, looping as well. It just keeps creating the old. So what is the healing journey then? What part, when we go within to do this, it really is returning to love, right?
Good.
Is there more to share from you? I mean, how do we regenerate then? How do we do that?
Right. The first step is to falling back in love with your body. And it is love and it is understanding. If we can begin to understand and feel on some level that this is soul, I am literally wrapped in source energy in particle form. Everything I need is right here. All the information I've ever wanted is literally in my tissues. There's untapped potentials in there. There's untapped wisdom in there. So if we can begin to play with that idea, then we can begin to build new memories and understandings for ourselves. And as we begin to shift our perspective, it's all about perspective shifts. Because if we continue with the same perspective, the same memory of how it has been, that's just recreating the old trauma and the old emotions. So I have to have a perspective shift. I have to be able to take a step back and to see a broader perspective of what is occurring. That allows me to shift my emotions to something different so that I can start releasing something more harmonious, more healing, that's creating more coherency through my mind and through my body. That begins to heal and repair the blueprint that's surrounding and telling the cells how to regenerate over and over again. This is building bridges of trust. So as we begin to trust, our body is trusting us to listen. Our body is trusting us to gently guide it through an opening and expansion of wisdom and love and light and regeneration. It lets go of the resistance to changing the subconscious beliefs that we always think of subconscious beliefs as being in the mind, but the subconscious belief is in every cellular membrane. The subconscious belief is in every, we have these nerve plexuses throughout the body, starting in the root. There's the inferior mesenteric nerve plexus, and then the superior mesenteric nerve plexus. As we work our way up through the chakra system, there's a nerve plexus in each one of those. And anytime there's energy running through a nerve plexus, that creates a brain. A brain creates consciousness and is continually talking to the energy field. So if we are deeply learning how to consume our own energy, to break bonds of codependency with these outside stories of limitation in other people, continually seeking validation through labels and experiences and old memories, once we begin to break those bonds of codependency and we start to consume our own energy, the message that we're telling our body over and over again is, God, I love you. I love you and I trust you. And that's what your body is telling itself. I love you and I trust you. I trust you so much that I don't want to consume anything outside of me anymore. I want to consume my own energy. And what I mean by that is, if we think about the root chakra, it's a consumer energy because it creates life. So it needs energy to come into it to produce life, right? So a lot of times we've been taught to look outside of ourselves for safety. But so we're looking around our environment, and anything that we're like really paying attention to when we're not consciously aware, we're consuming that energy. We're bringing that energy into our field, and we're feeding off of that, or we're feeding off of other people in our environment, which signals to us that we don't trust ourselves. We trust this other thing more than we trust ourselves. That's all codependency. So by consuming our own energies and by bringing this energy and breathing life from your root up and feeling yourself feed yourself life force energy, We're breaking bonds of codependency. The signal that we are gifting ourselves, is one of self-love and self-trust. And that's pretty much what we all want. We want to love and trust ourselves.
Yes. Wow, what an incredible journey. What a really incredible journey as we move into trusting our body, trusting that what we know within ourselves. We've
Yeah.
heard this from spiritual teachers. We know what we know within. It's all within us. As you said, there's untapped rays of lights within us. And this is really key. So maybe you want to take us, you're welcome to share more on this topic, but it would be wonderful to go into an experience of how we can really cultivate that light within ourselves, how we break that bond of codependency, because I'm thinking about everything. It's almost like some of us want to just go and be a hermit. And the spiritual people, if you're a seven number, a soul path number seven, for example, many take either the intellectual route or they take the spiritual route. And the spiritual route always encompasses being a hermit. And that is so there's no dependency on the outside. So isn't that fascinating that when we tend to want to get out of the world, stop reading the news, not letting our energy go leak out, we can start to see where we're leaking our energy
Mhm.
in relationships, in places, in looking outside of ourselves. So this feels really powerful. Can you lead us on a little
Yeah.
exercise that will allow us to fall in love with our body and consume our own energy so we can
Yeah.
feel that?
Can you imagine what kind of timeline we would all be on in honoring everyone else's timelines if we were all just focused on consuming our own light? There would be no judgment or comparison because it doesn't exist when you're consuming your own energy. And I can tell you, like, I've got three boys that are very active and involved in third dimensional sports and, all the things. And I can sit, and before, I would say, like, even 3 years ago, sometimes I would start vibrating, like shaking, because there'd be so much energy there. And I was like trying to ground. But once I started consuming my own energy, it doesn't matter if someone's yelling at the umpires or referees or whatever's going on. It doesn't affect me because that's not my journey. My journey is to consume my own energy, and that allows me to shine my light bigger. So instead of collapsing in to conform, I'm expanding out without any kind of fear. It's a big fear release. And I'm not projecting onto anyone else, but I find certain people always want to come sit beside me and we don't even talk, but it just feels good when someone is fully grounded in their own power. We've all been around that one person when you're like, how are they so damn confident? It feels so good and you're just kind of in awe of that person that just walks in the room and they own themselves. Why are they like that? Because they're consuming their own energy. They don't have to have the perfect body or the amount of money in the bank. It's not about that. It's just about the way that they feel and own themselves that we are like in awe of. So this is the time for us to really consume nothing but ourselves. And when we do that, we're going to start to radiate out those wisdom codes. And so if you channel, there's a lot of people that channel and do healing work. That is something that is embodied. And we're not bringing it from the crown down. We're bringing it from the root up.
Mm,
I'm connecting. If I'm channeling Jesus, I'm connecting with him within me.
yes.
And that wisdom is pouring through. And that feels different. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And we have shifted right now, right here, just listening to the words and interpreting that concept within our own psyche. Like really truly understanding that feels really good. Like I can feel this container and I'm getting goosebumps again. And I feel like crying, so that tells me it's truth.
Mhm.
There's no thoughts. There's, like you said, there's no thoughts, there's no judgment, there's no complaining. Oh my goodness,
Yeah,
complaining. And I just want to say, where I am on the planet, I've looked around, people are happy. For the most part, they consume their own energy. There's always more work to be done. More places on the earth are better than others, but there's no body shame
yeah,
here, which that is contagious to all of us.
yeah,
So um I know that, and that's not even with a conscious awareness, it's just what the people are from their core. And so when we really focus on this, when we really anchor into it and consume our own energy, I can sense that that is wonderful. And it's really powerful that we can live our lives that way. We can walk our lives that way. So this is a call for everyone who may not be doing that to just simply try this
yeah,
for a little bit, just to simply be aware of, like I can sense right now where we begin to, grab the outside energy. And so again, it feels wonderful. So let's
yeah.
go into a process. Awesome. Thank
Okay.
you, Erica.
You're
Wow.
welcome. It's fun. The first time I said self-consumption, people were like, "What?"
You're
But
eating
so
yourself.
let's experience. Yeah, exactly.
Huh?
All right. So always, always, always beginning with the breath. Why do we begin with the breath? A nice slow breath is signaling to the body that we're safe because we have time to breathe. And just placing your awareness on your heart as you inhale brings more of your energy home. Good. Now I want you to imagine breathing up through the root. So on the inhale, breathe up through your root and begin to pull that energy up into your sacral, up into your solar plexus.
Something is really strange.
What?
I don't know if you meant to do this on purpose, but your voice just dropped down really low after the
Ooh,
breath.
there we go. How's that?
Okay, and I'm going to edit this part right here.
Okay.
Okay, so you can begin after the breath.
So take another deep breath and bring it up through the root and pull that energy up into the solar plexus. Pull it up into the heart space. And now from the heart, we're going to send that energy up to the throat, up to the third eye, and up to the crown. From your crown, go up to your star chakra, which is about 18 inches above your head. And to me, it always looks like a halo. Go through the halo, allow that energy like a sprinkler to come up through the halo and then start to filter back down all around you. Following your meridians, following your electromagnetic field, igniting it. This is all your energy. No one else's energy. You're breathing in your own breath. And now you're coming back down through the earth chakra, about 18 inches below your feet, feeding back up through that system, up through your legs, back up into your root, breathing your own life force energy up your root, back up all the way to your heart. Now hold the intention for your soul now to begin to pour energy from your heart down through the chakra system, down through the root, down through your legs, down through the soles of your feet, down into that earth chakra, coming through the earth chakra, filtering up all around you. Good. And now that's coming back in through the crown. It went through the star chakra, then it comes back down through the crown, down through the throat, and into the heart. Now, take a breath into the heart. We're going to expand and make more space in the heart, and the heart is beginning to trust you. So take a breath and imagine a sphere of light that is your soul and your heart, and we're going to expand it and make it bigger. Make it bigger than your body. Make it as big as your energy field. Now we're going to invite the consciousness of your ego and your mind and your body consciousness all to your heart space. They each are like their own being, and we're going to invite them all in, and your spirit into your heart. And they're going to form a circle. And they don't have to understand what's going on. We just ask them to be present. And the inner child is wanting to join, so allow your inner child to come up and join hands in your heart space. And if you have a teenager, bring your teenager in and allow them to join hands with your heart space and your primal self if you want. Any of these aspects that make you human, allow them to come forward if they wish. If they want to stand back and observe, that's okay too. Now we ask for the highest self. More of the highest self to come and filter down through the crown and into the heart. And it's been here all along. You're just having and receiving access to more of it. Now, as your highest self looks around at all these pieces that make you you, and some of them look a little broken and a little shattered, and that's okay. Your highest self is going to ask them to dump all their worry, all their fear, all their trauma, all their resentment and shame and guilt back into the highest self, back into the middle of you. It's saying that you came from me. I have you. I'm holding you. I am you. You can trust me. I trust you. Good. Now feel your heart beginning to expand and your throat is beginning to open a little bit more. So you might feel some pressure as things begin to rearrange. Now we're going to bring the body consciousness front and center, and we're going to allow the body consciousness to see that all the rays of light of your spirit, of your soul, are radiating through it, from it. All the earthly wisdom that has been gained over lifetimes, thousands and thousands of lifetimes, begin to ignite and shine as we gain the trust. And we honor and love and acknowledge that this body was made by me. This body was made for me. This body was made with me. This body is Christ consciousness. Now, any remaining sadness or fear from the years and eons of separation, from knowing this body for the brilliant being of light that it is. In all the years of separation, pour that into your highest self. Good, and how does that feel?
Home, confident, expansive, multi-dimensional. Those are the words that I use to describe this. And so I'm sensing that this allows us the frequency that will heal pain in the body. Have you experienced this with your clients, or let's just talk physical pain for a moment?
I'll just give a real example from this week.
Okay.
So, my middle son plays baseball, and he at practice on, what day was it? Monday. He was in the bullpens, which are these, these big pens where they pitch and hit to each other. And he got hit by a pitch right on this bone, like that tiny little bone. And I know it was broken. His whole elbow swelled up all the way to his fingertips. He couldn't feel his fingertips or collapse his hand or like use his hand. And so that night, I was like, okay. And he was worried about missing the rest of his season because there's only about a month left, and then he starts high school ball and there's tryouts, and it really would have really messed up that something that is very important to him, that he finds so much joy and passion in. So we started this process of self-consumption, and I asked for Jesus to be present. And he said, if we are connected in understanding that the soul is the body, we can believe again in magic and miracles. So we started the healing process, and still that night, he couldn't really function his hand. He said it was feeling a little bit better, but it was still completely swollen. By the next morning, it was completely gone. He woke up painless with the biggest smile on his face. He went to practice again that next day, able to do everything. So this came from a deep desire to know himself and the power that he has of I am soul, I am Christ consciousness. There's nothing that we can't do. There's nothing that we can't be when we know this. Instead of believing in the timeline, the long line of energy that I need to get a cast and I'm going to be out for X number of months, instead of believing in that timeline, he chose to know himself as soul embodiment in human form.
I'm going to cry because the world that is coming with parents like you and everyone watching as we all do this and teach our children well. Wow, what a leg up your children have, your boys have. I could see where if it were me, I would have been, oh, put arnica on it right now, just put it all in arnica. But you went to that soul level, to the consciousness level, to that incredible healing, and look at what it did.
Yeah.
That right there.
And
Doctors
I'm
would
not,
say,
yeah, like I don't want to diminish. Like I was all for the arnica. I was like, let's do that too. That human part of me wanted to be like, okay, let's take ibuprofen to get the swelling down. Let's do ice and let's do these things. And we did some of those things alongside this other work, but this other work is what did the things.
yeah,
But like I do think it's important that you brought up like the arnica or like the icing or these human things, because that does relax It
Yes.
relaxes you to be able to do something physical as well.
Again, how beautiful. I can hear other moms and dads out there saying, if I tried to tell my teenager that, they would say, oh, mom, or
Yeah.
oh, dad. But your son was open to it. And again, what a beautiful world when the next generation like this steps into that. So that experience now becomes his truth.
Yeah.
What a gift that you have given him, facilitated for him. His soul gifted him that. But that connection is so huge. And this is something that we can all do. And so how did he react to that? What did he say?
He was over the moon excited and happy.
It
Because
worked.
yes, it worked. And more of his focus, he's a normal teenager. More of his focus was like, oh, thank God I get to finish out the season because it's, that's so much passion for him to be able to move his body how he wants to because he loves it so much and he loves the way that it feels. And so a teenager, a child, they might not always have the same kind of like spiritual joy. They do in the way that they have it, but it's okay for them to experience the joy on a superhuman level too. In that, like you were saying, it was such a powerful experience because I am a powerful being. I decided what I wanted, and that's what happened. But we have to decide with our whole being that that's what's going to happen. So we have to decide with our whole being that I'm going to stop codependency and I'm going to regenerate my body in a way that promotes an expansion of the truth of who I am on a soul level. We have to make the decision. If we're shaky, if we're halfway in and halfway out, it's not going to work. We want the timeline and we want to live on this earth in a way that promotes everyone's self-expansion. So we have to be all in with ourselves. You have to be all in with loving yourselves. There's going to be moments of doubt for sure. There's going to be moments when a knee hurts or you stub your toe or whatever. But you have to make the wins bigger than these small collapses of energy that we call pain. We have to make the joy bigger and the determination bigger than when things don't go our way or when something isn't perceived as going in our favor. We have to make the other perceptions so much bigger and the decisions so much bigger. Like the one thing that we haven't discussed, and I know like our time's almost up, but when my youngest son, or when my oldest son was born, who was born with Down syndrome on the autism spectrum, and he was having a hard time connecting in with his body, and I wasn't on the spiritual path yet, but he was so determined to be able to connect with his body that he was coming to my dream state, and he was showing himself doing things in my dreams that he couldn't yet do in the physical world. He was so determined that to connect with his body that he gave me the emotions in my dream states that were so powerful. And this was being done on a quantum level. He was showing me the imagery, the colors, which when I look back at it now, these colors were actually rays of light. But to me, I didn't have the awareness then. So they were coming in as the bright colors of clothing or the eyes that were beaming through or the color of the materials in the room. But they were the rays of light that he needed for me to embody so that he could embody because he wasn't yet in his body and he needed to know what it looked like and what it felt like. And for me to embody that for him and then radiate that out for him, he was able then to step into that creation, that memory in the field. So, but it has to be almost like no matter freaking what, I am going to consume myself. No matter what, I'm going to create an internal unification process that allows me to expand the truth of who I am. And if anyone around me isn't wanting to do that, that's okay. I'm going to let them. I'm going to let them be. but I'm going to consume myself because I know in this ultimate self-consumption that the rays of light that I am are going to begin to expand even bigger, and the ripple effect on a multi-dimensional level that I have by being completely self-absorbed is massive in a direction that is uplifting for everyone.
That is so beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Again, you have a remarkable story, and we have an archive here on New Earth One Network and acoustichealth.com with your story and the journey with that. And it's so beautiful. And you are to be recognized within the medical field one day. I know the medical field will catch up to this theory, to this practice, to this perspective. And that is a beautiful world. So when you talk about these untapped rays of light within us, this process that you took us through was a little example of that. But what can you offer for us to tap into those rays of light within us? Again, it goes back to consuming our own energy, but what is there more?
The course that's being offered is the body regeneration course. That walks you through healing your blueprints, releasing the holographic field, diving into and communicating with your skin and your bones, and you're clearing your mucus membrane. So we need to restructure the waters of your body because everyone has crystalline waters with crystalline structures within the waters of their body. So it's in your cytoplasm of your cells, it's in your spinal fluid, it's in everything. And the crystalline structures themselves have to be a little bit updated to be able to radiate out all the rays of light. So we're upgrading, and upgrading has been a little uncomfortable for a while now as we upgrade and restructure, but it's teaching us how to do that. And like this interview that we have today, I walk you through kind of hypnotizing yourself. So people often come in kind of a hypnotic state when they're in my classes or if they're listening to activations, because I walk you into the core of who you are to slow down your nervous system enough, to slow down your brain waves enough so that we can reach that subconscious programming. But I'm not always going to be here. You don't always want to listen to me. So every time I walk you through it slightly. Every class is a slightly different version of coming home to the breath, coming back into the body, slowing things down so that you know what works for you and that you practice every time bringing yourself into that hypnotic state, because everything really stems from if the nervous system is going to allow you to accept it or not. Is your reticular activating system that surrounds the brain, is that going to relax enough to allow these new ideas and this new self-promotion of who you are and what you want to express through you to be expressed and to be seen? We have to relax our bodies and build that trust. So time and time again, the more we self-consume, we restructure the foundational frequencies of each one of these nerve plexuses as well throughout the chakra system. So if the more coherent we bring the frequencies that are running through, let's say the roots of the inferior mesenteric nerve plexus, if we come in and build a foundation of peace or even of harmony within this structure, this brain, and that's feeding up through then your chakra systems to your heart, 99.999% of your day, you're going to be experiencing peace. You're going to be in a flow state, and you're naturally going to self-consume when you build these systems in place to support it. Right now, there's so many dysregulations between the different aspects of who we are and between these different brains because they haven't been self-feeding. They've been feeding maybe some from the self, like, I know I need to connect in, I know I need to connect in, and we're trying and we connect in, but this isn't maybe connecting in, or this isn't maybe connecting in, you know? So it's building the flow, communication, and alignment within that allows us to have a different chemical state, that allows us to restructure our blueprints, and that allows us then to radiate out these different rays of light that have your source energy codes so that you can become the full spectrum and not just part of the spectrum.
I love that. We are becoming the full spectrum of light from our bodies. And I love what you shared there. The courses, I'm going to have you talk in a moment about each of the individual courses and even the personal session that you are offering for folks. But it's that hypnotic state that allows the body to relax so that the subconscious mind can reveal itself, and that flow can be built, that alignment and that flow can be built. So exquisite. Again, just listening to you share this concept is an activation in itself. So I want to point all of those who are watching and listening to this webpage, scroll down and you'll see this offering. This is a bundle of classes that have been well received out there in the community, and it's highly supportive in this process. Share with us any details that you'd like to offer on this.
So with each class, there's also activations, and the activations are different in that it's like a healing meditation, and they're not, you can't find them on my website. They're only through this package. The reason being is because if we're going to talk about body regeneration, like this whole speech, it's so much more holistic than that. It's not just for vanity reasons. This is coming back to owning that again, I created this body for me. This body was created for me. This body was created with me. And so we need to restructure our whole concept about what I'm looking at you, what you are, right? Because even our Merkabas are shifting and changing. We're becoming more spherical if the angels are looking at us, or if you're looking at someone psychically, energetically, instead of seeing like points, and squares and all the things, we're becoming, as we ascend and as we become less dense through healing and releasing the densities, we're becoming more of a sphere, because every time we gift ourselves another perspective, another piece of our sacred geometry falls into place. We become more full, we become more whole. So to shift our perspective means we need to be in a different chemical state to do so, to hold that perspective, to see the broader picture of something. In the broader picture that we can see, pain becomes really small, because we have decided to make this other thing that feels more magical and feels more like a miracle so much bigger, because then we start to feel gratitude, and that becomes so much stronger than this trauma from being abused. It's not diminishing what you have been through, but we have to decide to shift our perspective and make this other thing bigger. Does that make sense?
It does. And it's a full commitment to this, but yet I can sense that there are some who may have a challenge with that. So what do you do when you encounter those who question if it's working at all? Because that's like huge. Advice for those folks. Hang in there. What is it?
Keep breathing.
Keep
Keep breathing. Because I have a science background. We didn't really talk about this on this one. I was a cardiac sonographer for over a decade in a hospital. I have a physics background, medical background. So the cells are chemically addicted to the pain and the trauma and the memories from the past. They've been fed, like we talked about earlier, over and over again from the toxins and peptides that were never fully released. They've been feeding your cells these nutrients forever. And so as you start to want to shift your perspective and change, everything within your body is going to say no. That's why and when the practice of self-consumption comes in, because you have to calm the nervous system down again. That's why having classes or activations that you trust that really do bring you into that hypnotic state to calm the nervous system down so that you can consume your own energy again. And I know that it sounds a little overwhelming, like this is going to be a lot of work. And maybe the first couple of times you really have to put your intention there, but it really is a decision throughout your day. I loathe going to the grocery store and figuring out what to make all week.
Mhm.
That does not bring me a lot of joy. So I have to shift my perception around, okay, what can we do? If I go to the grocery store, I want these magical ideas to pop in my head that are going to nourish the kids, that they're actually going to enjoy eating, and I want it to be light, easy, and fun. So I have to come back, instead of like looking around what's in other people's carts, I need to breathe. Instead of like looking on my phone to like scroll through recipes, consuming all this outside noise, I'm going to take a breath. Maybe that time I wasn't able to self-consume, so I'm going to take another breath up from the root. And I can feel that myself, like I'm deciding, I am consuming myself, and I am pulling that energy up. I'm deciding. So I'm pulling all that energy up to my heart. Okay, I feel my shoulders relax. My thoughts start to slow down. Boom, I got it. Okay, now I can proceed forward. Does that make sense? So it
Yes.
it doesn't have to be this long, hard, drawn out process. Make it a game. Make it a
And
game.
make it a game. And I just saw something with potatoes and I just got really creative there as you were doing that. I was kind of in your realm and in your space. And it's almost like have fun with that and don't put a recipe on it. Be inventive.
Yeah.
And I know that's a challenge when you've got, three boys that are growing that need this, but wow, that does bring the creativity in. And we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about opening ourselves up to, this is more than just deciding what's for dinner this week. It's intuition, and it's bringing in the information, because I can sense when we're in this realm, we're going to get a lot of information. Have you found that you've gotten a lot of information, wisdom
Yes.
coming through?
Yeah. Because you can actually access it. When we're consuming outside noise, we're pretty much shut off from these greater dimensional realms because we're not accessing the parts of us that live there. So we're multidimensional, but if we are in a place of our focus is here, it's over here, it's all external, right? And that's called convergent focus. We're focusing on these physical things. So we're really limited, and if we're converged, we're really limited with what we can see. But if we take a moment to breathe in our own energy and it calms the nervous system down, that opens the scope of what we can see because we tune into the multidimensional person that we are. When we tune into the multidimensional person, and just doing this, I felt, poof, I felt myself expand. There's different information that's residing in the fifth dimension than in the third dimension. I'm going to have different ideas and creativity come into my awareness that resides only where that dimensional field that can hold it. And
Yeah.
it's creativity, it's play, it's flow, it's alignment. If something really painful comes up, like if I see something, or if I'm like, somehow a part of me gets triggered by a past trauma, I'm like, okay. And it'll feel really acute at first. And then I'll take a deep breath and I'll expand out and I'll be like, oh, but that gifted me a perspective on this. And even if I can't see the perspective, even if I don't know what it is, if I expand my awareness out, that thing becomes so small. It's so small in my field. And then if I allow myself to be like, holy crap, I'm infinite. Like, I'm infinite. This is a tiny little speck of pepper on my infinite beingness that I am, why would I ever blow it up and let it have so much power over me? We have to make it small. So how do we make it small? We do that by self-consuming, by diverting our focus, because we tune into the multidimensional space of ourselves. That releases a whole different set of chemicals in our body that gives us a whole different set of thoughts that are more coherent, that are going to give us access to more creativity. Plus, by this breathing of self-consumption, we're opening our womb space and bringing that creativity up into our heart, and we're self-trusting that. Genius. That begins to release, again, another set of chemicals that are functioning more coherently. That begins to feed the cells something different than what they're used to, but we are in a calm neurological state, so our cells can actually receive it. That begins to change the subconscious programming. That begins to change the blueprint that tells the cell how to regenerate over and over again into something that is divine, into something that is remembering that I am an embodiment of soul. This skin is my soul. These veins, these muscles, this fat tissue, this is my soul. This is my genius right here in particle form. And it's something that I can actually see. How amazing is it that we were gifted something that we can actually physically touch and see, that's tangible, that is part of our highest self?
Oh my goodness, that is so beautiful. You have elevated all of us to new levels with that perspective and that experience. And I know it's incredibly healing for so many at this point. And wow. So we encourage those who are watching to check out the bundle of classes to work deeper on this topic, to be held in these informational packages that allow you to expand in this way, consume your own energy to work with the practice. It's a muscle that we're building. Seeing our soul, recognizing that is so beautiful. And that is New Earth. It really is. And every time we do that, new timelines are created, higher timelines are created every time we can do that. I want to just say, as you were chatting here as well, I was looking at an issue in my life that used to really perturb me. And I've begun to notice how it has been diminished significantly. I can hear the sound, it sounds like construction, and it just doesn't trigger me anymore. Because on one level, my soul chose that for this exact lesson in expanding beyond it. So I see it all now. It's hard to articulate, or it's a challenge to articulate, but I see that, and I sense that so many watching and listening are feeling this too in their lives.
Yeah.
So beautiful. Okay. All right. Well, the classes are there for everyone. And there's another aspect here. You're offering a one-on-one session for people. Tell us about this, because this is where we can really get laser-like in. And you get laser-like in, wow, in just a short few minute session.
We dive right in with your soul. So it's always led by your highest self. And I'm fed information really quickly. So we begin moving really quickly. But first, I always ask what you want, what your intention is, or what you would like to receive. Sometimes, a lot of times, we go beyond that. And the number one thing that people say is, I didn't expect to get that, to receive that much. Because again, when I'm looking at you, or when I'm looking into something, we're not just looking at that one thing, we're looking at the holistic aspect of who you are from a lot of different perspectives, so that we can heal on a holistic level. A lot of times things will get pulled out of the physical body, or pulled out of a couple of subtle bodies, but it won't get completely taken out. And we still kind of have a limited perception around what it is. So everything that I do, I verbalize, and I'm sharing, and I'm showing you how to do it along with me at the same time, because it's not enough for me just to do this for you. We are self-healers. Sometimes we do need the assistance of someone, but it's also about self-empowerment at the same time. So we work through, there's no limit. Sometimes we do a light language activation. Sometimes it is past life, future life, all the different realms, colliding that into one being, bring it back to your own highest self as a deep remembering. Sometimes past lives, body consciousnesses need healed and brought back into the highest self. Sometimes the egos from past lives need healed. All of this, all of this works together. We have to stop separating all these things out. Everything is meant to be healed and come back into unification so that we really can walk out that highest timeline.
Yes, beautiful. Thank you for the incredible work that you do and the incredible support that you offer the planet with these teachings and this information and the personal sessions. It really is wonderful. And so as we are, this is my final question is more of what we do when you get to this state, recognizing this body here as soul. That's so beautiful. That means every time we look in the mirror, there's no more self-criticism or judgment. That is so liberating. And I
Yeah.
truly hope that everyone watching can remember this and love it to pieces.
Yeah.
My question would be, what do you do with your team of light? How do you then perceive your team of light? Because it seems like that would graduate as well, that team of light is us. Have you thought of that as well? Is that your perspective?
That is my perspective. And that's why I say channeling is changing, because we're embodying that aspect of us that is them. And we're bringing that wisdom through and igniting. It's almost like, so if I bring Jeshua through, he's opening these keys within me that have just these pieces of me that have been locked. He opens them up, and then this light and this wisdom pours through me. And I can see it radiating from me, through me to whomever. And we're unlocking these pieces for each other. So, as if I'm connecting with, if I'm channeling the earth, the soul of the earth, and I'm bringing her up through me, I'm bringing her up through that microbiome that is 95% of my body. I'm radiating out that wisdom that is already here within this soul that is physical, and I'm radiating that wisdom through out. And it's different in that it's embodied wisdom. So when we channel, when we share, you can feel it so much deeper coming in. And that's why the tears were coming, because this is a recognition. If I'm bringing it through my body, your body recognizes it as something that is safe to receive and something that is safe to integrate, because it's coming from my body to your body. It's a body to body conversation. It's an embodiment conversation. It's a soul conversation and confirmation that I am safe to be me, that I am radiant, that all the wisdom that she is speaking through her to me, I have too, but I'm going to say it in my words, and I'm going to share it in the way that I have come here to share it. So it's a continual unlocking. It's not a reaching out and connecting with our guides and then bringing that information. It's bringing it from the root up and allowing them to unlock it within us, and then sharing it from that space.
Okay, I can feel in our meditations, in our daily practice, as for those who do that, how this will shift and we can truly live that. And, we have seen this in the past where certain channels, you can see that radiance, and that's what they're doing. They're bringing it from within. And even as we learn about mediumship, where people allow that energy to be spoken through them, that merges through them, that's really what's going on. So now we have a better picture of that and a better understanding of that. And it's not anything egotistical at all. I know that back in the day, maybe we would have been like, that's a little strange, but no, I think we get this now. It's us, it's all us. You've helped us understand this so much more now. And we are all radiant. Oh my goodness. I can feel everyone lit up and radiant in this energy, radiant of their soul. Thank you so much for this beautiful session today. I just want to give you final thoughts or a message that wants to come through.
Just give yourself a hug. Give yourself a hug and feel like your skin underneath your hands. And really embody the mantra, this body was designed for me. And as you say that, feel how your heart opens. This body was designed for me. How loved am I? I am so loved that this whole thing that I see in the mirror or that I see across from me on the screen, this was made for me. So the more we say it and the more we take ownership over it, the less fear we have at consuming ourselves, the less fear we have at coming home, and the more we heal that sense of separation. So thank you, thank you, thank you for letting me be here. Thank you for letting me share in this beautiful space that is so open, that creates so much creativity in all of us to channel an embodied message and wisdom. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, thank you to Erica Von Eaton. We are so honored to have you here today. Again, you have shifted us. We are on our way to New Earth. New Earth is here when we are in this vibration. New Earth is a vibration, and we are in that now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you everyone too for watching and shining your bright light. Namaste. Thank you for listening to this quantum conversation, and thank you for dancing with us to the cosmic heart. As we raise our own vibration, we raise the vibration of the planet. This show is dedicated to you and all awakening hearts, as we are here to shine our bright light and amplify our love. I'm Loren Gailey, and from my sacred heart to yours, I honor your magnificent love and light. We leave you now with music from the universe. Music literally created by the universe, as musical notes were assigned to mathematical equations. The result is this beautiful music, available at acoustichealth.com. Namaste.